And it appears that we're back.
Oh, back in business. Yeah, it seemed like there's a
Yeah.
bit of time stretching going on with the audio data. Your voice is like being
Yeah,
stretched.
that sounds awful. It's not a nice thing to listen to. But yeah, I just rebooted the writer. It should be better now.
Cool.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of connection is it? Is it like a like was it AirWire or something like that? Or
I'm not with those guys anymore. Because of like trees blocking the path to their aerial. I'm with another
oh, really?
aerial. I'm with Imagine. They're also
Oh, cool.
aerial broadband.
Oh, I never heard of them. Oh, I never heard of them. That's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But for some reason, I need to like reboot this writer every 2 days. It's a pain in the dick, man.
That's pretty weird. And yeah, I've never had that problem. I think with a writer before. It's weird. They're kind of built to stay up and running for days or weeks. Months.
Dude, man, you've been around to that last place I was in. Like my writer like ran continuously for like 3 years with no fucking problems.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool one actually. Yeah, even had a file server on it. That was pretty sweet.
Those
Well,
were
I mean, it's that
good
one
old
up, but
days.
the link was kind of slow, so it was kind of pointless. But it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was a proof of concept, and it
Yeah.
it also gave you an interesting what would you call work experience gig.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was pretty fun. That other, I installed a server, Windows Server, on that brick of a computer you had as well.
Oh man,
Oh,
yeah,
I think we used it for everything.
that's kind of lying up in the shed now.
Oh yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, yeah, but end of an era. Hmm. Just 1 second. I'm looking for something in my vicinity, and we will pick up from where we left off. We had a listener, and we still do. Emperor of Europe.
Oh well.
Yes, hello. Just to fill you in, I did this 2 hour, what I thought was a live stream, but it was just me ranting on my own. I think I was pretty succinct, and I substantiated my arguments about like the stream is called Irish News Rundown, but we've already run down the news, so. This is kind of an after party, if you will, and we're here.
Yeah, I'd say John and Patrick would have called in if they. I couldn't figure out what was going on with the live stream, when it was when it wasn't running. So I mean, the only way I could figure out was by messaging you through Discord. So.
Yeah, and thanks for that, because it was just at the right time to wrap things up. So and now I have the saved file. All I need to do is upload that tomorrow, or after I'm finished with our little after party. And I think it's some groundbreaking stuff, if I may say so myself. Let me just grab another stout. Not that over what would you call it, to like do something too much, over overindulgence. Not that overindulgence is a healthy thing, but I thought that alcohol was my problem.
Oh, your problem with what?
Well, just general how it can, keep shit together for any reasonable length of time.
Oh, what to have it or not have it?
Well, no, yeah, like, whether it was what was actually kind of sabotaging me, but it turns out it's just depression, man. If like it's fine to have a few beers if you're not depressed,
Oh yeah, I mean, totally, but yeah, too much of it or like mixing it can turn, like an otherwise normal person into like a demon. Like, just makes them unbearable to be around. But yeah, I mean, like a couple is fine, really, especially beer. Like like anything stronger, it's gonna you have to be a bit more careful, a bit more responsible. But yeah, there you go.
Well, I'm actually drawing upon my experience last year of having like this whirlwind fucking relationship that lasted like all of 30 days.
Yeah.
But like we lived in our respective homes, which was like a fucking 5 minute cycle up the road for me, and we were just like every day in contact kind of thing, as you do in the first month, right? But like say 4 days out of the week I get like 3 beers, and just finally a good day is complete. I'll have a few beers, and you know what? It didn't affect me. I got up the next day. I watched my episode of Kung Fu. I did my Tai Chi, and I wrote something. I filled my quota basically of like intellectual work to do. Went for a cycle in the morning beside the ocean with the fucking wind bashing up against the rocks, listening to Rammstein, and then go fuck my girlfriend 3 more times, and then have more beers, and I was fine, man.
I mean, like in moderation, it's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but some people would say like 3 beers, like 4 times a week, is not moderation. It's dependency.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound so bad to me, really. Like, yeah, I mean, I think like if it gets in the way of like, the rest of your life, then of course, yeah. Yeah, generally, I find like in the evening is the best time to drink, or let me do anything if you do anything else. But
as a rule,
I mean, so you can get all your yeah.
Well,
as a rule, it's a pretty good one, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't drink any earlier than 8 p.m. except like there's the odd occasion where like have a few drinks. Someone has traveled across the country to hang out with me. Yeah, sure, have a few beers at 2 p.m.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
So I have to say, Emperor of Europe has like grabbed my attention. Like, why would you call yourself that? Let's hear from this guy. Bloody hell. We've lost Mike again. By the way...
No, I'm still here. I was just super quiet.
Cool. Just to fill people in. This is Mike. Hello, Mike. A long-time friend, I would hope.
So, what are your plans for like a Monday show? Didn't you say you were gonna do something on Monday, or did you kind of put a stop to that?
Was this like recently I said this?
Oh well, not recently, like, but I think you had something scheduled for Mondays, but it didn't quite work out or something like that.
Oh, that was almost a year ago. No, wait, almost 2 years ago now, I think. Anyway, the agenda was that since like my sleep pattern is kind of non-existent, I just wake up when is required. But the human body does feel great when it wakes up in the morning, and it is just the way it works. You know, it's how I was last year, you know, until that cunt left me. You know, not to, you know, cast blame to other people, but I was thinking, okay, you know, like, what if I got up at like 6 a.m. and then got on the radio at 7 a.m. and then you know I was doing something good for myself, and I was in a good energy, and I got just broadcast this good energy to people who might be around to listen, and it might just become a thing of, oh, you know, it's Monday, you know, let's tune into Howard, you know, he's like full of energy, it might, you know, give me some optimism for the week.
Yeah, maybe it's best to just stick to Wednesdays then, because then it'd probably be more likely that like John or Patrick or, you know, any of them would be like around. Plus, probably have like more to talk about week to week than every 3 days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do like the format of the Wednesday show as well. It's pretty open ended, like, you know, it's good, you know, because people kind of want to bring different things to the table, and they're able to do that.
Yeah, there's this balancing act in, you know, listenable broadcasting. I wouldn't say good, but listenable broadcasting, because, you know, it depends who you're broadcasting to. A tightrope act of, you know, like, are we so freeform that we just lose everyone's attention, or are we so restrictive that people are, you know, that there's a tension there that, oh, we're going to move on to the next segment in 5 minutes, I can't be myself, and I can't get to know the other people on the panel.
Yeah. Yeah, it just kind of, I guess it gets kind of more, it's more fun in a way when it's open ended, and there's like a good mix of people, you know. It's pretty fun talking to you and John. Like, Patrick is a little quieter, I think.
Yep, he's a reserved
I suppose
guy.
I can be as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think even, you know, when it comes to, yeah, I guess you're equally as reserved as each other. It's just you and John struck up this rapport very quickly, man. And Patrick wasn't, you know, he wasn't there for when it happened.
Oh yeah.
Come on, we still got this one lurker on the fucking live stream. Who the fuck are you? Fucking MI5, that's who you are. One of Drew Harris's cronies. What do you think of that, man? That an MI5 agent who was responsible for genociding Irish people is suddenly the commissioner of our police force.
Well, how true? I mean, how much did you just pump that all up?
No, he was actually MI5. Then he was, you know, senior in the RUC up north. He also headed the HET Commission, the Historical Inquiries team. Basically, you know, the stuff that went on during the Troubles. You know, like people were unlawfully murdered. You know, things were done that shouldn't have been done, like the issue of collusion.
So what was the HEC Commission?
The Historical Inquiries team, right? So they're, to put it in a smaller, understandable context, with my grandfather, you know, staff captain in the IRA, you know, he was suspected of some of the crimes that, you know, he did commit, and then some crimes he didn't. He was mainly a civil rights activist, but, you know, he partook in he was a staff captain, right? But he was just he was on his way home from his mother's house. He was going home to look after my grandmother and her 4 children, their 4 children. And there was a military roadblock basically between him and his house. And at one point he cops onto this, and then he turns around to walk away, but they identify him. And there's an MI5 agent there. There's the sergeant, I guess. I don't know. It's someone higher up than the 3 soldiers that were manning it. They were ordered to train their guns on him. They shouted, "Stop or we'll shoot." He threw his hands up in the air. He ran down the street. And then they opened fire on him, pumped like 24 bullets into his back, and the whole thing was, he could have had a gun or something, but his hands were up in the air. But and the thing at the time was, he was a Catholic man. They were the authorities. What they said went. They wouldn't even allow the priest there to give him his last rites, And the historical, so the historical inquiries team would be over his case, and they basically looked into what was what, and they compiled a report. And my family are currently using that report to take those responsible to court, and that's an ongoing situation. So that's the role of the HET. Drew Harris had last say on all of the reports.
Yeah, it's I know the kind of vague. Drew Harris. Could you just repeat the last sentence?
Drew Harris had the last say on all of the reports that the HET made.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So, and he's actually the commissioner now. Oh, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's really crazy. Yeah, no, I knew the kind of vague story of your grandfather, but I didn't really know it in that particular detail. Because I know there's a website and everything.
Sorry, could I repeat the... I pulled the headphones out of the socket. What did you say there?
Oh yeah, no, I knew the vague story of your grandfather, but I didn't know in that specific detail. I know there's a website and stuff, and I'd read about it, before, but I didn't actually know they're bringing it to they're taking action about it and stuff like that. It's pretty great.
It's actually unprecedented. We are actually the first case of its kind. So, setting a precedent legally.
So I actually just found an article from 2016 about it. Were those two guys previously charged before, or
before this whole thing? No.
Yeah.
They basically lived out the rest of their lives, as if it was just another day at the office. It was not something that was going to come back and haunt them. And you know what? Personally, I think that the 2 of the remaining 3 soldiers, they really should not.
Yeah, one of them's... As far as I'm reading here, anyway, one of them's dead. 2 of them are still alive, but
they're really old, man.
Yeah, the RUC investigated the shooting in 1972. So right when it happened, and decision based on the evidence available then was taken not to prosecute. But it says here that HET, that historical inquiries team or commission, carried out a fresh investigation in 2012. Yeah.
So my family has been fighting a very, very, very hard fight, you know, and the thing that I find really fucked up about this situation is that this is like a morsel thrown to my family that, you know, like that, you know, there's different ways of looking at this, but dude, man, those guys were under orders. It's not like they could turn around and say, I'm sorry, but this would be an unlawful order. They'd get shot on sight, man. Like, it's unreasonable.
Yeah, I mean, well, the killing of him on site, as you detailed, is is totally unreasonable, even despite all the heightened tensions. Like, I mean, at the very least, if they were going to take action, they should have just arrested him, really.
See, the dynamic here, right, is that the British establishment was pretending to the rest of the world, hey, this is a civil society, this isn't like fucking Algeria or something, you know, we're all a part of the modern world, you know, this isn't a war zone. But the way that the police and the military were acting and MI5 were acting is that this was a war zone. So the question is, like, you know, you can't have both at the same time. Like, what was it?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting question as well. I mean, because the two people who were responsible for the shooting, you know, they're really old now as well, you know. So you kind of wonder what is the best possible outcome for but
sorry.
What's the outcome?
Hold on a second, I need to rectify this. The best possible outcome is that we, as a society, kind of open up our vision of what was going on in Northern Ireland as a whole. I think that this is the beginning of it. That, like, the way I see it is that the higher ups, the people that gave the orders in the military and military intelligence, they were handing down this order because, you know, this was this was like fucking, you know, I'm trying to think of a good example here. This guy is like basically the Che Guevara of Northern Ireland. I mean, you know, not to be like, I'm not like speak, you know,
I get what you mean. Yeah,
I'm not inflating him, unduly inflating him, but like, they wanted him gone because, you know, he was too powerful, not militarily but just vocally and organizationally. So we really want to get to the top of, like, who was it that masterminded the whole colonization of Northern Ireland? Like, you know, who was keeping that whole thing contained so that, you know, it just wasn't all-out warfare, and eventually the international community had to step in and say, you know, guys, really, you should just fuck off back home because this is getting out of hand. You know?
Yeah, no, I don't know enough detail about it to comment on that, you know. Yeah, it just kind of seems like it was another little piece they could have. I mean, like an island. I'm sure, like, you know, the best possible situation would have been that they they controlled all of Ireland, but fortunately, it's just the north. But then again, you know, you think, yeah, you know, with the state of, like, Irish politics at the moment, you know, and kind of some of the issues we have, you know, kind of wonder what it would be like if we were ruled by Britain, or just another part of Britain.
Yeah. I don't know. Because you're asking a lot of different questions when you pose that. Like how do you want to look at it? Because I would say that
how would they deal with the...
but no, in terms of like some would say, and the evidence is there to suggest it, that the Free State, the Republic of Ireland as we know it, is basically a puppet state of Britain. Like when you think of it, the broadcaster is frozen. Give it a second. Yeah, okay, cool. Constipation has ended. When you think about it, right? When you switch on your television, when you switch on the radio, when you listen to the politicians in Leinster House, like what accent are you hearing? It's a quasi-British accent, It's all people from the Pale, as we once knew it, like Dublin. Like, why is our capital in Dublin anyway? Why isn't it in a central location like Athlone?
I think historically it was kind of like the Pale, wasn't it? So I could look into this.
We could even bring a map of the Pale up on the live stream as well.
Geographically it kind of makes sense as well, though, because it's closest place to Britain, it's closest place to it's on the English Channel, like. Yeah, so I mean the late Middle Ages, that was the part of Ireland that was directly under the control of the English government in the late Middle Ages. So I mean arguably, they're responsible for the geographical area that became Dublin, really. But I mean, like it extended beyond Dublin as well. Actually, extended.
It was pretty much from what's that county just north of Dublin, and then
probably Louth, is it? One of those.
It's the coastal one. God, my knowledge of fucking Irish geography. Hold on. But yeah, it went basically from the tip of South Ulster, and then it went down to Wexford, which is it's just basically a strip, and that was the Pale, and it was basically they had the firm foothold there for I don't know, ages, like fucking hundreds of years, and then at some point, they were always warring with like the different factions and tribes that existed in the rest of Ireland. All
the earls, like, would have been the late Middle Ages. All the earls.
Yeah,
actually, John would know a lot about that.
At some point, like they felt that they had beaten us into submission enough that they brought in the Statutes of Kilkenny, which basically put into legal format that the English language is to be used in all forms of government and commerce, etc. And then the cultural colonization of the country, the rest of the country, came to be. Well, most people in the Pale, to that point, they were already speaking English. So that's why you see, when people, like, say, on the alt-right, they talk about, like, the architecture of Ireland, they're just talking about the British architecture in the Pale. The rest of the country...
I mean, there's...
Yeah. Go on.
Well... What were you going to say about the rest of the country?
Well, it's just a bunch of heaps of stone and shit.
Yeah, it's true. It's true to an extent. Like in Cork and Limerick, not in Galway. I think in Cork and Limerick you'll see a lot of like Georgian architecture, and actually you even see some some plants around those properties that are actually associated with Georgian times that British the British introduced, you know. So you actually see those around the architecture's name escapes me sometimes. It's some kind of like lily pad type looking thing. You see them quite commonly around Georgian houses, but it's beautiful architecture. But yeah, the rest of Ireland really is just like, I mean, you can tell it was just some of the houses were just built to make someone money, you know. Yeah, they look pretty ugly. There's no aesthetics really to them. I mean, most of the like pleasing aesthetics you'll get with that kind of banal architecture is like people arranging flowers around it and like making the garden look good. But I mean, like we did have some pretty cool architecture. So like colleges, you know, those traditional cottages. I've been in some pretty amazing ones here. But they seem few and far between these days, really.
Yeah, these are extremely temporary structures, you know.
Yeah, actually, happens upon a person who's very old now, actually, but he kind of made a lot of money in the boom, like kind of selling houses or whatever. But apparently, like his I don't know this guy really well or whatever. He's like almost probably like, actually no, he's like I think almost in his 70s, but he's kind of just like this local village character who lives down south. But in a lot of the houses that he built during, you know, the boom, the economic boom, were the foundations were made from sand he took from beaches.
Oh my god. He literally built his house on sand.
No, not his house, like other people's houses.
Well, yeah,
and,
yeah.
That's how he made. Yeah, that's how he made a lot of his money, and those houses are now falling apart. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's an idiom for a reason.
Yeah, is that not the most like Irish thing you've ever heard, though?
I would say it's the image of the Irish that we have been sold by our colonizers. That's what I would say. By the way, you know, before I had to go restart my writer there, basically the live stream has been like split into two. So we got our first comment on the first half of it. And do you want to take a guess what the comment is?
What?
Left-wing cucks.
Oh, that was in the first part of your
yeah
of your stream.
No, just like, what we did at the first little bit that we had a conversation.
Huh. Yeah. Whatever. Like, I mean, I'm pretty much just talking to you like on a Skype call. So.
But like, you know, we're talking our natural thoughts here. You know, these are our experiences and our opinions, and I think that they're fairly well thought out. But it looks like this is like a dinosaur from like the age when the alt-right was a thing. You know. Like, I thought the idea of alt-right was that it's alternative right, that, you know, it's not, you know, this, you know, it's not fucking Nazis goose-stepping down the street.
Well, that was the whole idea of it, wasn't it? But it's largely an American phenomenon.
Well, like, you know, if you look at, like, you know, say the idea of, you know, where a lot of the people that made the bedrock of it came from the neo-reactionaries, and then, you know, you had the whole National Socialism thing. National Socialism, you know, like, what's, you know, I'm supposed to like sell my babies to make rent or some shit, or I'm a left-wing cuck? Fuck you, buddy. Huh. It looks like I was disconnected from the live stream chat, so I've been like yelling at this person to message us all the while. He probably has been.
Oh, you've been disconnected from the live stream chat? How do you mean?
Yeah, fucking YouTube, man. You know, they've got this bare bones technology, and they're a multi-million fucking industry. Like, come on. All by themselves, by the way. Not a corporation, an industry. You know, pretty soon, you know, we're going to have, like, you know, a fashion line by Google. Google chic. My cousin, who, you know, he's like, you know, a fucking excuse me. He's, you know, unlike myself, a wunderkind. He's into like programming, pretty much. That was his chosen path, and he applied to Google, and he was invited to kind of like an open day in Dublin, in Google, and he sent me this. I've got to call this up, right? They've got, you know, as you can imagine, I think maybe, you know, you've heard things before, or say, if you've ever watched the movie, The Internship, about like these guys in their 40s who are like, you know, they you know, their shtick just doesn't work anymore, and the, you know, they're kind of deadbeats, and then they go for an internship in Google, and you know, everyone's riding around in Segways, and it's kind of like this new age village. This is this is fucking Google. This is actually the way it is. My cousin sent me this image of what they call the meeting room, right? Where it's kind of like an area. It's not even like a room. It's just an area with some drapes as kind of a wall. And then on one side there's like this little round table where people can sit on the floor and have tea. And then on the other side, which is, you know, obscured by like this very, very thin curtain, is a double bed. A very sensual looking double bed. And that's called the meeting room.
Yeah, righty. I never really had that much, I can imagine how far out it gets, really. With break rooms, maybe even like meeting rooms in companies like that. But I suppose like when I had that job, you know, doing that kind of game moderator thing with ZeniMax for the Elder Scrolls, kind of like our break room was pretty cool. I guess there was game consoles, so you could sit down and play them. You know, that was probably like the closest cool thing we had, really. But I suppose like that was like their Ireland office. So I'd say in the US or somewhere like that, it's probably a lot different. They probably have a lot of different things. Yeah, they also have that kind of whiteboard that, you know, anybody could draw on, which is kind of cool. I like that kind of stuff. Yeah. The thing about the gaming industry, at least it seems to me, though, is there's as awesome as the jobs can be, it doesn't seem like there's actually a lot of stability in them, because once a project is done, you know, the people are on that team or whatever, technical support roles like that, you know, might just be gone after the game, or even the programmers, really, you know, who are on like contracts. I know one of them that works for games company here, and he just has this 0 hour. You know, it doesn't bother him because you know, he's not guaranteed hours, but he gets full-time hours mostly anyway. But that just kind of seems the way with the game industry. It's very like I don't know, it's temporal, the word, or it's very obviously like a transitory kind of industry. Like,
Yeah, as a new industry usually is. By the way, in our IM on Discord, I sent you this image. It's quite hilarious. I also put it up in the live stream for people to look at.
It's like relaxing. Where's the bed though?
That's in another picture.
Oh yeah, it's kind of weird. It's just like a mini flat.
Yeah.
Do you think? I think it's probably a good thing, though. I mean, I don't know about beds in meeting rooms or whatever, but like maybe something a bit more casual could help. I mean, I know that when I worked in that place, there was at least a casual dress code, which is pretty great.
I think that's vital going forward as a civilization, like unless we actually have a very good reason to wear these fucking what would you call them, penguin suits, and these
look, I get uniforms in the service industry or whatever for cafes and stuff like that. So you can, I did identify the waiters and all that stuff, and everybody can identify each other. It makes sense in policing, the military and stuff like that. But for software companies, stuff like that, you can pretty much just throw it out the window.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to use the whole thing of like identification in the office, like, what is it? Someone walks in, in casual wear, and everyone gasps and says, "He doesn't work here." But like, does that mean I just wander in a suit and nobody notices me?
No, because you got a badge, in workplaces and stuff. Like a lot of them make you wear an identification badge or have some kind of identification on you anyway. So, all that stuff is managed, so I mean, there's not really even points of it from that point of view. I think it's just kind of like your presentability type thing, Yeah, I don't know how adhered to it is today. I don't know. I see some like insurance, selling companies around town and stuff like that who have employees who obviously don't need to be, dressed up in a suit, but they are, and people tend to dress up anyway. But it's kind of a fine line between like dressing formally and being comfortable. I mean, there's you're better off being a bit more comfortable, than wearing a suit that doesn't fit, even if it looks good, or like something like that, or like a suit that chafes you.
I quite like the formal look. I often have worn the whole three-piece arrangement, even with the tie, just ironically. And the tie is an interesting one. Like, where does this come from? Basically, the origin is actually shrouded in mystery. But if you ask a conspiracy theorist, it's a Freemasonic symbol, for the noose around the neck that, could just be tugged at any time.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way anyway. I'm actually gonna make a cup of tea, so I don't know if you want to continue on your own or just play a song.
I think I'm gonna make that decision. What you go do what you gotta do.
Yeah, as I'm doing, I'll just be like 5 minutes anyway. Cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, my good friend Mike. We've been around each other for a while. I guess that's what you would call a friend. I don't know these days. There's just, it's social chaos. Like, who's who, what's what. I personally find it strange negotiating relationships of any kind, especially since folks out there are, these days very intent on, well, nothing means nothing, man. Let's just go with the flow. Well, if you go with the flow, it's kind of hard to find your footing. It's good to have a little structure. And we wonder why the world is in disarray. We look at issues like the housing crisis, the medical care crisis, war, national debt, the JQ, but we don't turn the eye inwards and ask, is our own house in order? I think that should be the primary question. Again, here's more Holst. Welcome back to the after hours, after party, wow, I don't know, of the Irish News Rundown every Friday at 8 p.m. Irish Standard Time. That's Dublin time. That's say 3 p.m. Eastern time. If you're in the States, work out the rest for yourself. Every Friday. Yeah, so to recap what happened to this week's Irish News Rundown, I decide, let's give the subscribers like a few hours head start here with us, because, can't expect people to just drop everything and tune in if they're interested. So I thought I'd start a live event so that it would be up there in the subscription feed. But with this broadcaster that most people use to live stream to YouTube, it's not the standard way of porting onto the live streams. And I followed all of the instructions. Turned out I did the whole 2-hour show with absolutely no one there. Probably a blessing in disguise, to be honest, because then there was no one to distract me. Laid down well, you're just going to have to check the channel tomorrow morning, as after this little chin wag with my good friend, I will upload that 2-hour gem, if I may say so myself. Interesting things happening in Ireland. To boil it down to the bullet points, Ireland will see the first socialist revolution in Europe in the 21st century. I don't know about the first socialist revolution in the 21st century. Maybe the first full-on socialist revolution. Like, I don't know, man. Most people are fucking socialists in this country. Like, anti-government, anti-capitalist. Fixing on your headset there, yeah?
Oh, yeah. So what did you do in the interim?
I forget, but I played some Holst, and then I came back.
Nice.
And then kind of explained what happened to the show proper, the fact that it wasn't broadcast. Fuck you, YouTube.
Oh, of course, yeah. Actually, oh yeah, so I watched Forrest Gump last night. Great film. I can't believe I've never seen it. Crazy.
Yeah, I was surprised when you told me that this was your first viewing.
Well, I always knew it was a great film, but I had always intended to watch it, but I finally got around to doing it, and I was pretty blown away by it. So, I mean, the whole arc that it takes, goes through, there's a lot of historical gags, but it's also pretty strong, heavy drama as well.
Yeah.
One thing that impressed me is kind of the self-awareness, towards some parts of the end of it. I think one of my favorite story arcs through it as well was when his lieutenant in Vietnam loses his legs, but he eventually he kind of Forrest tells him about his desire to be a captain of a shrimp fishing vessel, and he says, "Oh yeah, if you ever do that, I'll be first mate," kind of sarcastically or whatever. And he actually does end up becoming his first mate on the ship. I thought that was great. He kind of redeemed his whole life, That was the kind of arc.
Hmm. There's the distortion that you've heard from me, which
Oh,
is
no, you're hearing it to me.
yeah, which is weird because now I have full latency connection. So,
Hmm.
hmm, interesting. Yeah, so he just well, no, I popped out of the chat. Okay. Ah, I see
Oh,
what's going on
yeah.
here.
You came in and out. Weird.
Yeah, you know why? Because I clicked on the other audio channel and then I clicked back here. So if you could somehow leave and come back.
Sure, yeah. I'll figure that out.
All right.
Should work fine.
Yeah, I think it's coming back around.
Yeah, actually, a lot of issues are on the kind of, you know, I mean, if you boot something or start something, it solves the problem a lot of the time. I can see
Yeah.
on your list that there's like, you know, there's like a founders list on our
Mm-hmm.
Discord. There's a person called Callie. Who is that?
Kelly is a friend of mine from Texas. We actually met through Anonymous back in the day when Anonymous was just about terrorizing people. And yeah, I don't know. For some reason, we hit it off, man. You know, and yeah, we just kind of share music and keep track of each other. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's a pretty good worldwide community you got going on here.
Mm-hmm. Well, by worldwide, you mean Ireland and the United States, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much, you know.
But to us, that is the world.
America's a big place, though.
Yeah.
I've never been to America before.
Huh. We're still getting the kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh man, it's weird.
It's pretty weird. Actually, wait. Are you getting it from me? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
of course you are. Hold on a minute.
Okay, cool.
Are you getting it now?
No.
Oh, it's back to normal.
Oh yeah, it is back to normal. What was going on there?
I was just downloading an update for something through Steam. I can just half the bandwidth and see if it makes it.
Yeah.
It shouldn't really make too. I don't know if it'll make too much of a difference.
Well, now it's back. Now it's back. This is riveting conversation, I have to say.
Yeah, no, it's back.
No, you're totally fucked now, mate. Fucking things come up. It's not what I want at all. Yeah, so are you gone or what? Okay, you're not. No. I don't think...
I think it's still working to some degree.
Oh yeah. You're good now. When you tried to fix it at first, it worked, and then when you went
Yeah,
back.
I don't think it was actually the Steam thing then. I think it was something that was outside of my control.
Ah, all right. Yeah, let's keep the conversation interesting. Has anything hit your eye in the media cycle lately over the past week?
Not particularly. I guess I could have a look now and see if anything's going on. What about you?
I've just kind of been mesmerized by our national police, going around like stormtroopers with balaclavas on.
Oh, well, I mean, I think they always kind of dress like that. It wasn't a new thing, like not for the public order unit anyway. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a bit unprecedented probably to have private security people kicking people out of their houses, but at least as far as I know, for that public order unit, for any Garda unit, that's that's above the entry level. Like, they generally kind of try and protect their identities. Like, makes sense.
I don't think it does, if I may disagree. Garda representative said just of this particular incident that the registration numbers, which is kind of weird to put on a human being, a registration number, but he said that these were clearly visible for people to see, but all the photographs of the incident shows that they weren't visible at all, or these registration numbers were so small that you would literally have to be up in this person's face. And one particular photo showed one of them with a nightstick drawn out, and he was like ready to club this guy over the head with it. If any of them had actually stepped closer to see, what's your registration? Ah, fuck! My eye!
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
And we're given like two separate fucking explanations for why they wore the balaclavas. One explanation from one of the representatives said, "This is like a tactic that we use of intimidation to basically limit the possibility of violence," which is spurious. But the other Garda representative said that it's their flame retardant to protect their face because of all the acid attacks that are on the increase.
Well, either they're both, or they need to kind of get their story straight. But yeah, I think that public order unit is used for kind of securing like stadiums, like football games where they expect there's to be some kind of outbreak of violence. Like, I don't know, I kind of did stewarding or kind of that kind of work at like a Tala Stadium in Dublin once, when there was like a Russian team. I think it was St. Petersburg were playing Dundalk or something like that, and the public order unit was there from the start. Because I think the St. Petersburg team might have been notoriously passionate about their team. I saw that before in like one of the stadiums in like the Aviva with some of the Polish ultras, where they had to get the public order unit there as well. But I think they're always kind of around for those games anyway. But then they had balaclavas on too. So there might be some truth to them actually being flame retarded.
Well, dude, if you're going to get like acid thrown in your face, which hasn't happened in Ireland anyway, as far as I'm as far as I know, so you're going to just go around for the rest of your life with this oval around your eyes of like you know, scarred tissue. Like, what about your eyeballs? Like, why don't you wear some glasses?
Oh, goggles. Yeah, yeah. They could probably wear goggles, to be
Yeah.
honest. But
Well, I
that's
mean,
probably just a lack of
but this
foresight.
lack of foresight, my whole. The only reason why our overlords lack foresight is when they mean to. If you get my drift.
Yeah, well, it probably won't cost much to equip like that public order unit with goggles, especially since they're a lot fewer in number than the entry level kind of guardian.
Anyway. Oh shit!
What?
Oh no, I had a very personal tab open on the live stream. I better close that down. Fuck that. Shit.
What was it?
What whole household products contain ammonia?
Oh, okay. Any of them?
I haven't been able to find a list, but I'm not going to speak any further because people who can put two and two together probably suspect me of something. Flame retardant balaclava. What are they made of? I wonder. Like. Flame resistant anti-static balaclava. Ideal for cooler conditions to keep the head and neck warm. The ribbed fabric allows for a snug, comfortable fit. Wear with the FR10, FR11 or FR12. What's an FR10? But what are these things made of? Because I'm wondering, like, if you get like a, say, like a liter of bleach, and you just throw it in the face of one of these people. Not saying that I would do that or I suggest anyone do that. But let's test out the whole flame-resistant balaclava. Would it not melt the balaclava into the skin, and then you're in surgery for 2 days straight while they pluck all of the fibers out of your face?
Well, I think sometimes they have helmets that have actually, in fact, some of them, they do have helmets that have a glass kind of component covering them.
Just didn't have that on Tuesday, did they?
Well, I mean, then there would be an uproar about that too.
As there should be. These civil servants risking their lives, their faces could be melted off. That's a scandal, like. Okay, I just got speakers and a smartphone for FR10. Huh. What the hell is an FR10? Because I'm getting digital cameras, iPhone, Androids or whatever, and I'm also getting rifles. There's an FR10 rifle.
You won't get much just for googling FR10.
No, maybe these guys sell FR10s. The guys who sell the flame resistant balaclavas. I mean, if they're going to mention FR10s, they should sell FR10s. I mean, it's only good business. Okay, flame resistant anti-static long sleeve polo shirt. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, tuck the balaclava into the shirt. I bet that would be warm.
Probably. Yeah, may as well do. I'd say I'd come back on Wednesday anyway, when the rest will be around too. I'd say it'd be a good show. Yeah, I'll also check out what was previously recorded but not streamed. Mm. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Anyway, sure. Yeah, we'll talk to you on Wednesday, and have a good night.